Radio Rahim here with Otto Wallin. We are in Manchester. This is actually one of my favorite fight cities. People don't know the atmosphere here, the things that have happened at the Manchester arena. Even crossover boxing packed the house here. And I remember Chisora saying that he had a head full of places to choose from where he wanted to have this fight, and Manchester was the far and away favorite. Is this place special for you, or have you fought here or thought about what the atmosphere will be like, differing from the massive arenas that you've already fought at?
I've never fought here before, not as an amateur, not as a pro. So it's going to be interesting. I haven't really thought about that so much, but it sounds like it's going to be a good atmosphere. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be rooting for Chisora, but I have about 100 Swedes coming over also, so they have a little clique also, so I think it will be good.
You were at the media workout today. It didn't seem too bad. You weren't booed or didn't have a huge fan favorite for Chisora. Does that affect you at all? Like when because you fought Fury, you fought Joshua, you've been the underdog, you've been the guy that everyone expects to just go in there and lay down for these guys. Does it motivate you, or do you want to be the guy who's getting cheered?
I feel like it motivates me actually to get booed and be the underdog. I kind of like that. Sometimes it's nice to be cheered on also, but being the underdog is not a problem for me. It kind of motivates me and makes me feel like I have less pressure.
The Tyson Fury fight, it's fair to say that you shocked people. Granted, the ultimate fight didn't turn out the way you had hoped, but the performance put you on another level. In those moments in that fight when you were besting Fury, how did that feel? And did it feel like maybe you were turning the crowd then?
A little bit. I felt it after, because during the fight, you're so focused on the fight. So then I remember like after the fight, I got back to the dressing room and I felt like, man, I lost, and I was kind of down. But then everyone came in, oh, that was a great fight. That was a great fight. So then I started realizing that it was actually a good fight and a good performance. But at first I was just a little disappointed that I lost. But then I realized that it was actually not too bad.
I take you back to these fights because in each instance, when you fought a major name, it seemed like they had something right past you, that they were just fighting you to get to the next thing. And you're a disruptor. You can be a spoiler. And it's not the position that a fighter wants to think of himself as a spoiler, but if you do the spoiling, it elevates you immediately. It would appear that this is another situation with Chisora. Like you said, obviously this is England. He's going to have fan favorite. He's 49 fights in with this one. He's looking to be a 50-fight fighter. And you're standing in the way of this, roses being thrown at Chisora so that he can finish his career the way he hopes. Is that a difficult spot to be in, or is this one of these fights where, there's more payoff than risk for you?
There is. I mean, I don't mind it. It just makes me feel like I have less pressure, and I feel like I'm just going to go in there and, give it to him and just win the fight and turn everybody around and show that they were wrong.
It reminds me kind of Larry Holmes and beating Muhammad Ali. I'm not saying that these are, I'm not saying you're Larry Holmes or Muhammad Ali, or neither is Derek, but it is one of those moments where, if you knock Derek Chisora out, or the British fans see him go down and maybe doesn't get to 50 because you do a job, you could be seen as a villain in this country. I mean, are you prepared to be the guy that gets booed every time he comes to England?
No, I don't think they're going to boo me. I think they might start out booing me, but then I'm sure I'm turning around. Even if I beat Chisora, I'm sure they'd be nice to me. But that's what I'm hoping, at least.
When you were sitting down at the face-off, Chisora said, this isn't a boxing match. This is a fucking fight. And, he always has that one line where he tries to get under somebody's skin or get in their head. Is there a difference between a boxing match and a fight?
Yeah, a boxing match is doing a boxing ring. A fight is outside of a ring. I mean, there's different ways of fighting, and we know that Chisora, he wants to be in wars, and he always is, and he's always in tough fights. and I'm sure this is gonna be no different. But still a boxing ring, still 4 corners, and you just gotta make sure the fight plays out the way I want to.
We know Chisora is heavy-handed. We also know that, there's a lot of tread on that tire, and your advantage might come from being more light of foot. Your boxing might be a better approach than slugging. But do you feel like if this fight becomes a stand in the middle of the ring and exchange, can you deal with Chisora on that level?
We'll see. I'm prepared for it. So I'm prepared for whatever he has to bring. We know Chisora, obviously, and we watched him a lot. So prepared really well. And I'm prepared for whatever he brings. That's how I feel.
Is it important to you how you win? Is it, a knockout necessary for what the statement you want to make, or is it just a win's a win?
It'd be great with a knockout, but a win is a win. I have to win. That's the most important. So I'm going to do everything I can to win. If it's by knockout or a decision. Be nice with a knockout, but I'd be happy with a win too.
Researching this fight, watching the analysts do their thing, it's a bit all over the place as how people analyze you or what they think your prospects are. What do you think your prospects are in this heavyweight division as it now stands?
I don't think about that so much. I think most important for me now is just taking everything step by step. Just trying to improve, get better, get the experience, just trying to take it to the next level. So this is a very important fight for me. If I win this fight, I go on to hopefully a lot bigger fights. So this is just very important, and every step is important. I can't look too far ahead. I just got to take small steps all the time and make sure I get better.
It's interesting when people talk about Wallin and what kind of threat you are. They always harken back to the Fury fight, which, isn't a win, but they don't talk about Gassiev, which isn't a win, which is an impressive fight, maybe one that is more indicative of what you're capable of. And then we walk you into the Joshua fight, and we don't know what Wallin we're going to get on a Saturday night. Do you know what Wallin we're going to get on any given Saturday night, and what makes the difference between those fights?
I think the opponents makes the difference. I think Fury obviously had a good fight with him. I didn't win, but I did my best. Gassiev, I went to Turkey, beat him over there. It's not his home, but he had it was basically only Russians there. Then I had a little clique of my people also, but it was on the road. Then went into the Joshua fight, and I felt good. Everything. It's just Joshua. He was very good that night, and he did a good job. So I think it's more the opponents than anything.
Where do you rate Chisora amongst these opponents?
I think he's up there from the people I fought. I don't think he's as good as Fury and Joshua, but right below.
So then I have to ask again, the Wallin that we get on Saturday night, what defines him? Okay, these opponents may have dictated what you were able to do, but if Chisora isn't on the level of these 3 guys we just mentioned, then can this be the night where you define the fight?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm like I said, I'm very prepared for him, and I think it's gonna be a great night. I'm feeling very good, so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I feel like now the weight is just want to get into the ring now and make a statement.
Do you mean the wait on Saturday night? Waiting for Saturday night?
Waiting for Saturday night, yeah.
What about the wait on Saturday night? How do you... we know Chisora, to me, actually, he looks like he's a little slimmer than he's been in some time in the past. Do you think that you being tall, you being long, a southpaw, and we know that Derek, again, he wings punches, he puts his weight behind them. How does that matchup advantage you or disadvantage you?
Like I said, he's aggressive. He wings punches to the body and to the head. So, you just gotta stay smart and be sharp all the time, and make sure I don't get into a slugfest where he can just tee off like he wants to.
You say you don't look too far into the future, which is wise, but you have to know that a loss to Chisora probably puts you so far down the pecking order that big opportunities may not be available if you don't win this fight. Was that a consideration at all as to when you chose to accept this challenge? And is there an upside to this? Like, okay, you beat Chisora, what's available? Knowing that if you lose to a fighter like where Chisora is in his career right now, it could take you out of the running for big fights.
I think every fight has its risks, and so this is no different. If I lose, then yeah, they will set me back. But I think if I win, it's gonna take me further, get me up the rankings again, and get me in line for another big fight. So that's what we're looking to do.
Looking at the landscape of the heavyweight division, there are two heavyweight champions at the moment. Obviously, Alexander Usyk claimed undisputed and hasn't lost. So in a way, he can still claim undisputed. And then there is, Daniel Dubois, who's out there with the IBF title. If you say that big fights are what you want, big fights are in your future, which big fights do you think you're most prepared for now? Are you ready for a title shot with one of those two guys?
I think I am, but I just, like I said, I can't look too far ahead. I just gotta make sure I win this fight, then I can think about that. But if I don't win, then I can forget about it. So it's just important that I stay focused now and win this one.
That's right. If there was one tool that you would say maybe you've sharpened since the Joshua fight, or a lesson you learned in the Joshua fight that you bring into the Chisora fight, what would you claim it to be?
I would say, even though it didn't seem like a good experience, I think it was a good experience and a learning experience. So I think I've learned a lot from it, and both mentally and physically. So, you go back, you look at the fight, see where it went wrong, and just try to learn from it. I feel like losses is the best time to learn.
If I can put your analyst hat on, being that you've learned quite a bit being a professional and fighting some of the best fighters in your era, very few people can say that they were in the ring with Joshua and Fury. We know that Fury is technically retired, but we all expect him to come back and make this fight happen. Who do you think wins that fight based on your experience with each fighter?
I think it's hard to say. I think Joshua gave me a tougher fight. It was harder, but that doesn't mean that he's gonna beat Fury. But it's all about styles, and I think it's difficult. It might be a 50-50 fight, so it's hard to pick because everyone has their good days and bad days, and sometimes Fury looks great, sometimes not as good, and same with Joshua. So it all depends.
The next fight after yours, that's going to be a massive fight, will be on February 22nd. We'll see Daniel Dubois in the ring against Joseph Parker. Another difficult matchup. Where are you leaning for the winner?
I think it's going to be a great fight, and I'm happy they made it. I think Parker deserves to get a shot. But if I have to pick one, I say Dubois. I think that he looked great in his fight with Joshua, so I go with him.
On the same card, I'm not going to run you through the whole card because they're all just about 50-50 fights. We're going to stay at the top of it. Obviously, we're looking at a rematch for the Undisputed Light Heavyweight Championship. Do you think Bivol comes through this time? Did you think he won the first fight?
Actually, I was on vacation when that fight happened, so I didn't watch much of it. I watched a couple rounds maybe, so I didn't watch the full fight. But some people say he won, some people say he didn't. It was probably a very close fight and could have gone either way. That's what I'm hearing.
So what happens this February 22nd?
If he deserved the fight if he deserved to win the first time, he could probably do it again, of course. So, but I'm sure Bivol's gonna come and be very prepared. Maybe he's learned a lot and can do things even better. But just going off the first fight, Beterbiev won, so why not again?
Now, you said you got some countrymen coming into town to kind of tip the scales, get you some cheers going while you're walking to the ring. Now, it's not an inexpensive trip to fly internationally to Manchester. So, are you going to tell these guys to bet on you as a 2-1 on favorite?
I think they already did.
This is how they're going to pay for their trip.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it? different? Does it feel different, in a big fight to be the favorite? Obviously, you're an underdog with Joshua, you're an underdog with Fury, and this time going in, people, believe in you. Certainly Vegas does.
I don't think so much about that. I still feel like the underdog because I'm away from home, and the crowd is going to be on his side, so I like to keep that underdog mentality.
Do you think 2-1 is fair?
Yes, it's fair. Could be more.
I know that Chisora, is a showman. He knows how to sell a fight. He winds you up. But, he'll also bring burgers to your locker room after the fight. What is your relationship like with him when you're actually face-to-face, when the cameras aren't on?
We haven't spent that much time together. I went over to Sparring before he fought Fury the third time.
Right.
So we spent a little time together. But other than that, I haven't been around him much. So we're competitors.
Does sparring a guy to help him prepare for somebody else give you an edge when it comes to you fighting that guy? Because obviously a lot of sparring partners have fought people that they work with, and you can't really say it helped them or hurt them. But in your case, do you feel like it's an education? Does it give you a little bit of an edge?
No, because it goes both ways. It's the same for both fighters. So it's not like it helps me more than it helps him. So I think it goes both ways.
Do you think the Chisora you're fighting now is the kind of challenge that he might have been when you were in camp with him and being a sparring partner?
That was only 2 years ago, so it's not too long ago. But he had a Fury fight, Jared Washington, Joyce. I don't know if he fought anybody else, but that was all those 3 fights were tough fights. So that might be taking a toll a little bit.
Yeah, he says that this is going to be his last fight in England, if not his last fight. If you do a job, though, it's going to be his last fight ever. Where do you place him in the history of English boxers? I mean, look, I know he's your opponent on Saturday night, but no matter what happens, he's coming to the end of his career. What kind of place does he deserve in history?
I think, he's had a great career, and he made the most out of it. So, he's up there. He as a really good fighter, a tough fighter, and I'm sure he's gonna be remembered as an entertaining guy and a solid fighter that fought the best.
Yeah, as we've said, you fought some of the best. Chisora will be the next one of those, and you've got a lot more than 2 fights left. So what would you like your place in history to be? When I ask somebody else this question in however many years, what do you want them to be saying about Otto Wallin?
I want to be remembered as the second heavyweight world champion from Sweden. The first one was Ingemar Johansson in 1959, I think it was. So it's time for the second one.
Radio Rahim with possibly the second heavyweight champion from Sweden, Otto Wallin.